Born to Achieve. Born to Achieve. Welcome to Born to Achieve podcast, the show that inspires and motivates you to unlock your full potential and achieve your goals. With your host, Warren Andrew Pinder. Let's get started on this week's episode of Born to Achieve. Born to Achieve.
I am born to achieve greatness, and so are you. On today's episode of the Born to Achieve Greatness podcast, we have with us Steve Gamlin, who helps frustrated entrepreneurs stop hustling to find purpose in their lives through his proprietary vision board mastery method. What qualifies Steve to speak on visualization, vision boards, positivity, motivation, humor, and life comebacks is simply he lived it. And he took a ton of notes along the way that he's going to help to express to us today. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you very much for having me. And yes, a ton of notes. I've got a stack of journals that every once in a while I look back and I go, wow, life was really tough back then. But I'm glad I took notes because I was able to build a better one, which I still get to enjoy today. So thank you so much for having me.
Great. As you know, vision is everything, right? Vision is something, we can go and say without vision, people perish. So we want right now for you to let us know, how did you become known as the motivational firewood, right? Just let us know, how did that happen? What was the coin around that?
Early in my speaking career, this was around 2005 or so, I went to a meeting of the New England Speakers Association, a member of the National Speakers Association. And when I went in there, of course, everybody else was already a member. So they have the nice lanyards with the beautiful badges, with the stickers and ribbons. And I have the little sticker that says, "Hi, my name is," and I grab a Sharpie and write Steve, stick it on my jacket. And as I walked into the door, one of the members said, "Oh, Steve, it's very nice to have you here with us today. What do you speak about? And who are you as a speaker?" And I said, "Well, I want to motivate people." And he said, "Steve, we all want to motivate people. What sets you apart?" And God love him, he had the patience of a saint, because about 5 minutes later, out of weak excuses and definitions, I finally threw my hands up and I said, "Well, Don, if people come and pay to hear me speak, they just need to know that if they have a spark of something in their heart that they want to achieve in their life, that I can share some information, they can add it to the spark in their heart, take action, and create a result." I said, it's kind of like I'm handing them a piece of motivational firewood. And he snapped his fingers and he said, "Now that right there, young man, that's different and that's unique and that's kind of cool. Do you know anything about trademarks?" And I said, "No." He said, "Look into trademarking that phrase." He said, "It's very unique and it's fun and it kind of seems to fit your personality." So I've been known as the motivational firewood guy ever since, and I've had the trademark for nearly 20 years.
Great. And with earning that trademark, what has been, when we speak of achievement, what has it been that persons gravitate to you, helping to, being able to assist your audience and assist our listening audience with what it is, and how can they really achieve what it is that they're truly searching to?
Yeah, what sets me apart and what I believe actually helps people to get results the way that I teach this, and not to put anybody else down, I tell people right up front, look, it's not what you get, it's who you become along the way. So please stop giving me or showing me these, what I call the vision board starter kit, which just has a picture of a Lamborghini, a yacht, a mansion, a private jet, a big honking gold watch, and a basement full of gold bars and piles of cash.
Right.
That's what too many people do at the beginning of each year. They said, "This is what I want." What I ask people is, who do you want to become? First off, there's nothing wrong with any of those things. But I'm just from the style that it's not just the material stuff, it's the person you become along the way. Because we've all heard about millionaires and even billionaires who are some of the unhappiest people on earth. And what I try to do is dispel the myth that having a whole bunch of money and a whole bunch of wealth or a whole bunch of power is what's going to make you happy. And one of the first things I ask people is, where is your life right now? And I work in 8 categories with a life wheel, which is a pretty standard tool in the personal development world. And it includes spokes on the wheel your physical health, your emotional well-being, your closest relationships, the core values that guide every thought, every word, and every action, your faith and spirituality, if that's an important part of your life, which does the same thing, but the power comes from a different direction, your connection to the world in real ways. And didn't so many of us feel isolated and depressed and addicted just a few years ago when we were in the midst of the pandemic? And then your career and your money. And I ask people to just evaluate, where is your life right now in each of these areas? If you're a numbers person, scale of 1 to 10. If you're creative like myself, give me a couple of words to describe where you're at. And then 1 year from now, explain to me how you would like any of those areas to be different or improved. Because we don't just go from 0 to Lamborghini in a heartbeat. We have to become...
Yes.
We slowly, instead of a Lamborghini ride, I explain to people it's kind of like an old wooden roller coaster. You start at the parking lot level. You look up at the top of that first hill, which is any one of your goals. You just want to get over that, but you have to go click, 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 click. Get acclimated as you're getting higher and getting more confident and getting closer and getting more excited. And looking back over your shoulder now and then to realize, I've come a long way here. I've got some good progress. I surrounded myself with good people. Then when you get over the top, oh my gosh, you've done all the work, and you can celebrate and enjoy a ride that you couldn't stop if you tried, because you made the efforts and you understood it's a long game.
That's right.
Thank you for joining today's podcast. We'll be right back.
Achieve Man, written by Warren Andrew Pinder and Dominique Bradford. This book passionately focuses on the challenges women have been made to go through and how to overcome them. In some cultures, being a woman disadvantages the girl child. This book carefully exposes the hurdles you might face. This masterpiece is the ultimate self-help guide for women. It reveals your true purpose and identity. Get your copy today. Available from Amazon.
We now return to today's podcast.
You've just given us a taste of what I want to really hear about, your vision board mastery method,
Yes.
right? Let's just help us to give us this. I'm anxious to hear about it. I want to know, let it help me as much as I wanted to help the listeners.
Yeah.
Just speak to us about your vision board mastery method.
Sure thing. Happy to. I never invested in anybody else's vision board or visualization courses. And early on, and here's the reason why, is first off, I didn't want to subliminally steal anybody's material, because it's a danger in this industry, of course. My then life coach, around 2004, suggested I get a DVD copy of the movie version of The Secret, which had just come out at the time, which was kind of a basics lesson in the law of attraction and what that was all about. There was a gentleman in there for about 3 minutes out of a 98-minute DVD. His name is John Assaraf, and he showed pictures of vision boards that he had. Now, he had a lot of wealth and a lot of material stuff on there, and I tried to make a couple of vision boards. I actually made 2, and they were all material stuff. And within 3 weeks, I just looked at them and went, ugh, I don't even emotionally relate to this anymore. And 3 weeks ago, I was so excited.
Yeah.
So I grabbed a pen and I grabbed a notebook and I went to the beach. And as the tide was slowly coming in, I wrote 7 pages of the life that I wished to create. And it started to gel there. And over the next couple of years, this is now in the early 2000s, I put together a way to think about things, to understand where you are right now, where you wish to go, and why you want to do that. And an emotionally connected why, because a lot of times we say we want something, but as soon as there's a little thing in our way, we're like a first-generation Roomba vacuum. We bump up against it and we just go somewhere else.
Exactly.
And we abandon our path. So that's a whole module on its own about the why. And then I include some really fun brainstorming sessions, almost like you're writing the ultimate letter to Santa Claus for the life you'd like to have. And you just go crazy wild, coming up with just the most amazing life that you could enjoy in each of those categories. In Module 7, you actually go seek out or create the pictures, the words, the hashtags, the mantras, any materials that indicate for each of the areas of your life where you would like it to be. And I suggest 1 year from now. No, if it's a longer term goal, think about the progress you could make in a year that could really build your momentum and your confidence and hardwire some better habits and create some momentum to get there. Too many people thinking 20 years in the future and they get scared and they fall back to their old habits and they kind of abandon. And then in the next module, you actually take all of these words and pictures and hashtags and mantras and you start to assemble them. What I suggest is whatever is most important in your life, you put that in the center of your board and you work out from there. And that's when people start to realize that all of those areas of their lives are leaning upon each other. You can set one goal, just an example, better physical health. You work on your physical health, you eat better, you drink more water, you exercise regularly, you get enough sleep, you wake up with more energy. You wake up with more energy, you're more focused. You can focus more at your work. When you're more focused and efficient at work, you can earn more money. When you earn more money, you can perhaps get a little more time and freedom in your life and enjoy better quality moments in your relationship. And when you do all this with good core values in accordance with the values of your faith, you experience better connection with people and also more positive emotions.
Exactly.
So by taking care of yourself, you just impacted every single area of your life. And beyond that, in the last modules, it's all about where do we go from here? Because vision boards are not an arts and crafts project, nor are they a set it and forget it. And every time I say that phrase, if I'm on stage, somebody goes, yeah, I like that chicken roaster infomercial. Everybody yells, set it and forget it. Exactly. Your vision boards in your life are not set it and forget it. You could have done one episode and said, okay, everybody, this is it. But you continue to make new episodes because you want to reinforce your lessons, your mission, your passion. Use your voice to inspire people. Invite guests on who can complement your energy. So that's what the vision boards are all about. Essentially, it is a walk through me holding your hand by the sound of my voice through all 10 modules to be able to go from where you are now to where you wish to go and beyond, and understand the importance of every step in between.
Wow, Steve, that is great. That is really great. When we speak of vision boards, I think in 1988 I would have done using a craft book. Just as you said, I drew, having a house, having a plane, a boat, a good job. I wanted, I'm in construction, so I wanted to be able to see myself building a $10 million project. I know I wanted, the plane represented vacations, the boat was, relaxation, because we live here in the Bahamas, the waters. I had written that I wanted to do achieve my master's upon graduation. And it's so funny that I placed that in an album. And not really at that time, I didn't know exactly like what you're speaking about of a vision board, but I have seen the manifestation of all of those things that in 1988 that I literally drew to myself, just in little, ditto drawings, but I knew exactly what it was. But the power of a vision board, it keeps you focused once you begin to think of those things that you have actually placed on that vision board for you to actually dream of and envision them coming to fruition. Help our listening audience right now. Like what you just said, you have done that far in a better detailed manner than I could even imagine. Like, you can feel it, but walk the person listening right now that is grappling and trying to see their way out, right? Walk them, show them how this can actually be applied in a simple step.
Yeah, and you just actually shared an amazing example of that. And now you're in construction. My dad was a carpenter. My grandfather was a carpenter. I was a carpenter many years ago.
Right.
You planted a seed, and so many people think this is very woo-woo. And I'll give it to people. A lot of times when people hear about this stuff, they go, oh, it's too woo-woo for me. The approach that I take is called blue-collar woo, meaning I'm going to teach you the tools. I'm going to show you how to use the tools. We're both going to roll up our sleeves together. It's especially in the case of my coaching clients in my actual program.
Yeah.
We're going to roll up our sleeves and we're going to get to work together. And I'm going to show you that you have so much more potential than you believe, but maybe you're doubting yourself. Maybe you have the imposter voice inside you. Maybe you just don't know how to dream of a better version because you haven't had people around you to inspire you for that. So people who listen and watch this show, and people who listen to people like me and learn from people like both of us, I just ask people, what is a slightly better version of your life right now? How could it be even 10% better?
Yeah.
They'll say, well, if I had this, okay, let's set you a goal to do that. And you just hit the nail on the head where you said, you drew this, you designed this, you put it in a book. What you're doing is activating something that's called the reticular activating system. Now, that's a scientific term for just being aware of what's going on out there, because so many people walk around staring at their shoes saying, well, my life stinks, or they're staring at their phones, mindlessly scrolling through things that are not going to serve them 30 seconds at a time on TikTok. But when you set a goal or desired outcome or have a vision, all of a sudden your mind and your heart and your eyes and your ears become more aware of the opportunities that show up. And you are almost plugged into a different frequency. It's kind of like a radio signal. You start to see and hear and even feel things in your proximity that you might have been blind to before, and you see opportunities. I mean, my gosh, in the early 2000s, I blew my life all way just apart. My radio career, my first marriage, and any shred of financial stability, I destroyed them all in 2002, and I put it back together. And I really wanted to work on myself for a few years. Now, this is when I was just starting as a speaker and with vision boards. And I said, I only want to fall in love one more time in my lifetime. So I'm going to become the best version of me that I believe I need to be. And I'm going to design and describe and include pictures and words to describe my ultimate relationship. And I worked on myself for 3 years. And in early June of 2007, I wrote in my journal, I am ready to fall in love. 10 days later, on June 16th, 2007, I got an email from someone named Tina. Turns out it was a girl I'd gone to high school with, hadn't seen or communicated with in 21 years, who was reaching out to me because she saw my name online. At that time, by then, she was living in Florida. I was still here in New Hampshire. And after a month of texts, phone calls, and emails, even without a picture of her, I started to have feelings for her again because I had a crush on her for 3 years in high school and never asked her out.
There you go.
4 weeks after that email, she admitted she'd had feelings back then and still did. And 17 and a half years later, I've lived the ultimate relationship.
Wow.
By being aware of who I needed to become, what I wished to create in my life, and then saw the opportunity, trusted, took action, and not 50-50 in that relationship. We were 100-100 and enjoyed the most amazing 17 and a half years of my life.
Congratulations, man. That's super.
Now for a commercial break.
Achieve Men, written by Warren Andrew Pinder. In this book, you will learn the 7 steps to achieving your dreams and goals. Given the vision to share how the acronym of the word achieve can be used systematically in your day-to-day life. Each of us is given a unique gift from God. Get your copy today. Available in print, ebook, and audiobook from Amazon.
We now return to today's podcast.
When I spoke of my vision board that I would have created, it's so funny that one of the things I always wanted to do was to complete my master's degree. And literally, it was there in the back of my mind, placed on that vision board, but never was it like an intentional act. I didn't think, I thought about it. I'm like, wait, but it, like you said, the seed was sown in my mind. And literally 30 plus years later, I was able to receive a master's degree, and that was something planted in. So the power of a vision board, I've actually practiced, not even knowing that even 30 years later, it will still, it could still come to fruition. So there's something really, really good. I read your profile, right? Where the question was asked, are you hustling and grinding, but don't, or can't remember your life's purpose or meaning? How do you tie that in? How do you tie that in? The person who's out there. Speak to us about the frustrated entrepreneur or just persons like seeking a career move, the hustle and grind. How do you tie it into the vision, finding the purpose and meaning?
Yeah, unfortunately, and there's nothing wrong with hard work at all, seriously. But the hustle and grind mindset, unfortunately, especially for people in their 20s and even 30s, I keep hearing that over. I'm going to hustle and grind, hustle and grind, hustle and grind. I'm going to make $1 million this year. And I recently asked somebody, I believe he's 26 years old, because we were on a coaching conversation, not even a client. Yeah. And he said, I'm going to hustle and grind, run, make like $500,000 this year. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to do 80, 90 hours a week, and I'm going to hustle and grind and have all this money. And I asked him, are you married? He goes, yeah. I go, well, you might not be at the end of the year.
Okay.
And he whoa, what do you mean? I said, and I explained to him the 8 spokes of the wheel.
Right.
And I said, take it from somebody who did this to his life and at age 35 blew it into 1 million pieces. There's nothing wrong with hard work. But if you want to create the ultimate version of yourself in your life, you have to at least acknowledge and understand that all of these different areas, as I explained earlier, rely upon each other to build a complete and happy life. It's very difficult to put a lot of other things on hold while you're just trying to make money. And I'm seeing more and more people. I just turned 57 earlier this year. I'm seeing so many people over the age of 40 who, after the pandemic, said, oh my gosh, I don't want to go back to the way I was working before. I don't want to go back to that. Work, with this promise of this golden era of my life at retirement. I want my life to be more meaningful now. And it can only take moments a day. I was on a phone call with someone else, actually 3 guys in the course of a week. Never happened before. It hasn't happened since. This was a couple of years ago. 3 different guys saying, well, I don't know. I took my wife on vacation and now we're back and she's not grateful. I said, what's your wife's love language? And he says, what? I said, how does she feel honored by you? And this goes with hustle and grind, because he was hustling and grinding and just carved out 1 week for them to enjoy and figured she'd be set for the rest of the year. So I asked, does your wife drink coffee? He said, yeah. I said, what's her favorite flavor? He says, well, I don't know, but she got them little pods everywhere. I said, okay, so you got a Keurig. Okay, good. Yeah. I said, tomorrow morning, I want you to try something. I suggest you do this. Put the pod in the machine. Make sure there's enough water in the reservoir. If you have a timer, set it for about the time that she wakes up. Otherwise, if not, just leave a note on the coffee. Hey, honey, your coffee's all set. Just push the button. Your favorite mug is already there, ready to go. Have a great day. Talk to you later. Love you. One of those gentlemen is still doing this. This has been about 3+ years.
Yeah.
He still does this every Monday through Friday. And at least 3 times a week, his wife will text him in the afternoon. I just love waking up and coming down and having my coffee ready to go. Thank you.
Wow.
So hustle and grind, we can lose a lot of those things in the mix and maybe feel they're not super important. But if you're in a relationship, even just to honor yourself, be aware of all of those other areas of life and how important they are, because trust me, I know firsthand what can happen when you don't pay attention, when you're just running like a machine with no maintenance. And after a while, it starts to clang and shudder and shake a little bit. And then by the time you get to the point of wondering, where's that smoke coming from? It might be too late.
Burnt coffee.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Born to Achieve. Born to Achieve. We hope you found it informative, inspiring, and motivating. Born to Achieve. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends and family. Stay focused on your goals, and we'll see you on the next episode of Born to Achieve.
Take advantage of this incredible opportunity. Sign up today and claim your free ebook at www.borntoachievegreatness.com. Follow us on Facebook at Achieve Movement Inc. Get your copy of Exploring Achieveland, A Journey to Realize Your Dreams, Motivational Stories of Kindness, Inspiring Stories for Kids on Amazon and Kindle.